I'm making hanging dish towels today. I really like them because I feel like they just work a lot better than the ones that have the buttons. These ones, you just stitch together a couple pieces of scrap fabric and then you're able to attach them to the top of half of a towel. So this is really great because it uses one towel for two of these and it uses some of that scrap fabric. Today I'm doing a bunch of the autumn colored ones. These are so nice because they just fold right over my oven door handle, and it makes it so that the kids, when they use it, they can't actually take it down. There's actually been times that I've found my dish towels in the sink completely wet because they've used them as a washcloth. I appreciate their work to try and help clean up, but it's nice to have my dish towels stay where I put them. My first step is to cut my dishcloth in half. I like doing it with a serger, but if you didn't have one, you could just do 2 stitches that are anywhere from 1/4 to a 1/2 inch apart and then just cut in between them. The stitching just makes it so that it doesn't come undone as much. Now this particular towel, when it's cut in half, is 16 inches by 13 inches. It doesn't have to be exactly that, but something in that realm is ideal. I then choose a coordinating fabric. In this case, I really like this one. It's got the leaves in it. It's got a little bit of that yellow gold kind of feel to it. And it doesn't matter which direction I do it in. The longer piece will be cut to 15 inches by 7 inches. The smaller piece will be cut into 4 inches by 7.5 inches. My first step is always to iron all of my fabric. The dish towel is easy because it already has all of its edges done. I just need to make sure that there's no creases in it that are going to make it difficult for me as I'm sewing. After I get done ironing the big piece, I flip it over and then I create a little fold at the bottom. This is where the towel will end up going, but by folding it over right now, it makes it easier later. And I'll do that to both sides. I want it to be about a 1/2 inch of a fold. Then I'll flip it back to right side up and I fold those edges together. And I'll do just a quick press here. I don't want it to hold it a lot, but I do want to see where that line is. This just makes it a little bit easier for placement, but if you put a really hard seam in there, it'll be hard to get out later too. I'll fold over my fabric so that the right sides are facing each other, and I'll pin it all along that long side. And then I'll go along that edge and put in a 1/4 inch seam. Now I'll use the iron to press my seam out. I don't want to press too hard on the edges. I mostly just use the tip here because it's really only the seam that I want to do. Now at this point I'll take the tube that I've made and I'll put it right side out. And I really like using a chopstick to do this. I feel like it does a good job of helping it go through. And then I'll just go ahead and iron this flat again. I want that seam to be right in the middle of the back side of this. Now I'll pull out the larger fabric section and I'll open it up and I can see where I put in that light seam there. And that's right about where I want this to be. And you'll notice that the tube is 1/2 inch longer than this fabric, and that's because you need it to have just a little bit of room for that towel to go underneath it. I usually start by pinning in my tube, and I'll pin one on each side just to keep it at the edge, especially since it's a little bit longer than the other one. And then I'll take this and I'll check for my crease again, which is right there. I want it right next to the crease, and I want it to go up just a little. So you can see it goes up just a little bit, which is good. That's what I want. Now I'll fold this top portion over the top of that one and I'll line up my bottom again. Sometimes it's a little bit hard because you do have that little strip in there that pushes it up, and I just work from that edge to the back. And I usually try to put an additional pin right in between those pins that are holding that handle on. And I repeat that process on the other side. And now I'll stitch it together with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. And I'll repeat that on the other side. The only thing I have to be careful about is keeping that loop nice and flat. Now I'll make this right side out, and this is when I can double check the loop. If the seamed side is on the outside like this, all you do is you flip it around to the other side because it's right in the center of that edge. It doesn't matter. But you do need to make sure that if this is directional, that it's upside down compared to that portion. And now I just go through and I press my seams flat and try to make sure that they're fully turned out. And I usually do that top edge too. Now I'll take my fabric with the loop side up and I put that at the top. And then I take my towel and I want to center it fairly well on that fabric. Then I fold it over and then I fold it back towards that side, but I don't put it too far because I actually want this part to kind of hide in the back there. And then I repeat that on the other side. And then I just open up my fabric and tuck it inside. I want it to go up just a little more than that 1/2 inch because I want it to be beyond the area that I folded. I don't want it to go too far though, or it'll be really bulky. And I just kind of play with it until I think it lays nicely. And then I go through and I pin it. Sometimes it's a little hard because you're pinning through all of those levels of fabric, but it's worth it. I'll stitch along this edge 1/4 inch from the edge of the fabric. So now I've got it all sewn together. I know I've done it right because I have this pleated side that's on the same side as the front of the loop there. So now I'll show you how to put it on because sometimes this can seem a little bit confusing. I place the loop portion underneath the handle and then I feed my towel right down inside of it. And that is perfectly ready to stay on and be used when I need it.